welcome to Yellow with Susu. I'm your host, Susu, and tonight's guest is actor Greg Hill. Hey, Greg.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's definitely a privilege.
Thank you so much, Greg. We are just so excited to have you on this evening and just hear all these spotlight stories. Greg, I just want to go ahead and dive in. Can you maybe share how you got started in acting and what actually drew you to the profession?
You know, recently, this year, I've had a couple movies come out, and that's been a popular question, and I feel like I kind of want to change it up because there is something I was thinking about that when I was, I think, really young elementary school, my mother, I have a sister, and she did theater and stuff, and so my mom put us in this community kind of like theater program. It was in my hometown, and I took the thing, and we were going to do this play, Jonah and the Whale. You know, that's based on, obviously, I think you're very familiar with the Bible and everything. They had these exercises and things that they were doing, improv, and then scene studies, different things like that. But I had kind of the opposite feeling initially when I was there because I'm really shy and introverted, and all these kids that were there were like these theater kids, and they were all, you know, fighting for attention. I didn't really feel like I belonged there, so I asked the teacher or the instructor if I could just be the narrator that comes kind of in the beginning to introduce what we're going to see, and then I think that's all you see of me is like this quick thing, and my sister loved it, and she had this part. But when I went, even as a really young boy, I was thinking about the authenticity and the more realism of what could be done with storytelling. Not to say that theater is not all of the great actors, not all of them, but a lot of them have come from the theater. But for me, I was thinking about, okay, that was interesting, but is there a way to actually, for like a film, make it to where I can portray everyday people that I've seen on a trip to the grocery store or in school or in everyday life? That's a little bit more subtle and realistic. And so then I started watching a lot of movies that my mom introduced me to. There were the main guys that I kind of was drawn to at the time, which is, you know, just because you had the movies, I think, but it was Brando, Montgomery Clift, and James Dean. And something about those three guys initially for me made me think, okay, well, it's kind of hard for me to fit in. I don't really identify with a lot of the people I'm around, and I'm shy and introverted, and this world is very awkward. And so I would start in my room kind of pretending to be somebody else. And I found that that was kind of a gateway into empathizing and understanding society and people. And that was kind of it.
Wow. Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, you got to give it up to Mom, kind of inspired you. And then you said that, you kind of stepped foot in the theater, which a lot of people don't understand too. There are quite a few actors who might be shy and introverted. So to see you take that leap, and you are doing really big things right now. You were in a really cool movie, which, what was your experience like working on the movie Civil War, and how did it impact your career?
Well, it's kind of a funny thing because I obviously was familiar, I'll say obviously, but I think a lot of actors and people in film or are pursuing it are familiar with Alex Garland because he's such a singular, unique voice in cinema. Writer, director, got it started in writing and just started directing movies because he was sick of directors kind of doing his work and it wasn't his vision initially conceptualized. So when my agent told me about the audition, I thought, okay, this is great. I would really love the opportunity to work with him, but you never want to get your hopes up. And then I just had I had like a rinky-dink setup that a lot of people with, I think, self-tapes, especially because the majority of how we present ourselves to casting directors is through self-tapes now because of the pandemic and all that stuff. They feel like they got to get it looking as professional as possible. But really, at the end of the day, they just want to see if you're right for the role. Long story short, it was very bare bones tape, but then I got the call that he wanted to meet with me and just had a conversation with Alex, and it was incredible. And I knew right away that he was meeting him in person, kind of solidified my thoughts on how intellectual and kind of cerebral he was. And you could tell that from his films and his writing. But witnessing him on set as just this having an authoritarian knowledge of every department and the rehearsing of the scene I was in several times was an experience that was unique and unlike any other I had had. Kristen Dunst was somebody that I had seen a lot of her work really early on, and I always was blown away. And then working with her was a tremendously amazing experience because I learned a lot from that and just the whole opportunity to see like a master filmmaker doing his work. So I was just in awe the whole time.
Wow. And that does sound like a great opportunity, being able to, be in the presence of somebody who is a filmmaker, but not just a filmmaker. Like you said, somebody who is professional, somebody who is organized. And we talked about this with lots of different actors, regardless of the budget. A set like that sounds like a blessing. And then even how you had spoken when you had done your self-tape, as an actor, not getting your hopes up, did that, after you had got that call back, I mean, is that something that kind of like uplifted you? Is there a way that maybe you kind of keep yourself going by having hope when you are doing these auditions?
I think with doing whether you want to call it a hustle or a grind or just the dedication of trying to stick to your craft and knowing that it's a process where when you first start off, you think you're going to book the first thing you get an opportunity to read for. But after a while, you have to detach yourself from it. Well, you don't have to do anything, but this is just my kind of approach to it because otherwise I just get heartbroken because in the beginning, after I did an audition, I would lay in bed and not be able to sleep, just praying like, can I just get this, please? If I do, because the stakes are so high on certain potential opportunities that it could change a lot of things for the better in your life. What I've tried to do is balance not being jaded, but being kind of having a thicker skin as far as detachment. And, this goes back to Eastern philosophy and all these things where you can't have expectations of the outcome, and you have to divorce yourself from everything. And sometimes you work a long time, even for a director's meeting or even a self-tape, preparing and doing the work of studying the sides and the script, and then you just get nothing, and they thought you were really good, but you weren't right for it. And that's more than 99 times you're not going to get it, and then the one time you might get it, or it could be 150 times. It's more rare in the beginning that you'll book something because there's so many determining factors that are in the mix. But you're not really doing it. You're doing it because, at least I can speak for myself, because I'm driven by the idea that in order to understand the world, I need to participate in and have some involvement in the storytelling of trying to understand what we're all going through. Sometimes I get really discouraged sometimes, actually. It's been an ongoing thing for me for a long time, so I'm really closely attached to it, and I can't get away from it. But the best I can do for myself is just to keep moving forward. Don't look at the past. If you get caught staring at the past, it'll just be a really upsetting thing for you.
Right on. And no, like you said, it sounds like what you're telling me is that, you have to keep on believing in yourself. And even like you said, you you prayed for a gig and maybe you didn't get it. And, there's always that saying, God closes one door and opens another one, where maybe you didn't understand, you didn't get some of those roles, but then when you did land the role
Yeah.
of Civil War and all, I mean, you were perfect for them. You have like a very interesting look. And even in that film, I mean, the look goes great with the character. So it's like, wow, maybe that didn't make sense, but hey, here's this other door that opened where that I fit perfectly in. So just you in that film, and there are so many other films which here shortly we'll get to hear about. So that's exciting. And like you said, believing in yourself to keep moving forward and to just kind of stay focused. Acting, filmmaking is not like your regular 9-to-5 job. You really rely on yourself a lot. Another door opened for you, and then you did land, some really cool roles. So that's really exciting to hear. And there's a little bit more to you, Greg, too. So you're also a dad.
Now, time for an ad break. Cater your next event with Village Foods, Michigan's go-to for Mediterranean wholesale and vegetarian delights. Visit villagefood.net. From fresh olives to savory herbs, they provide premium ingredients for restaurants, caterers, and special events. Taste the Mediterranean magic in every bite. villagefood.net.
So how do you manage your time between your career and your family life?
It's a really it's been a difficult time with the movie world and getting roles and stuff rather recently, and I think it's starting to get a little bit better, but we had a situation where everybody's just trying to recover, and there was the strike, and then there were the potential of the strike with the crew unions and everybody. So for a while there, it was offer only roles, and then there wasn't really any scraps even for anybody who's not offer only. But now I feel like it's starting to open up a little bit. With being a father, I guess, with traffic, because there's always traffic, about 2 hours away east of Los Angeles and Hollywood. And I moved there specifically to be closer to my daughter, and have a family, and I started a business with my wife. But I have a lot of people that are supportive, and I found that if you're making money and you have to go away for, however long it is, a month, whatever your shooting schedule is, people are going to help you, because it's not like you're saying, oh, well, I just got to go find myself for 2 months. I mean, when you have kids, if you have something that you're doing to try to better their life, and that's positive for everyone in your circle, then I think in my case, they really rally around me and go, okay, we'll go off and do this, and the thing that's hard though is talking to my kids and not being able to see them as much. But we have FaceTime now, and the distance could be a difficult thing, but you got to do what you got to do. I've fortunately never been in a situation where I've booked like a gig where it's a streaming show and I got to be away for 6 months. But I think that the relationship I have with my manager, who is incredible, and the studios too, I think they would work with me.
You've been making it work. And what the funny thing is, I was going to tell you, you're actually playing one of the biggest roles in life, a real leading man, which is a father. And you said, you have your own business, you opened that with your wife. So, I mean, that's kind of like the greatest role in life already. And you are that leading man.
Well, it's the hardest role.
It is the hardest role, and you're succeeding at it. And like you said, because the industry's a little different, sometimes you might have to step away, but you sound like you still make a way to be a part of, being the father that you need to be, and understanding family life, which is really, again, you said one of the hardest, but it's also very brave. So,
in that role, but I just want to add that in that role, I will always be, supporting role to my wife, who's a superstar, and she basically is everything, for us. And I'm always, if I can be anything, it's just, her good supporting player for her, because she's great.
Yeah, I know, and I respect you so much for saying that, because especially in today's world, working together as a team, and These are our personal relationships in the film industry, whether you're in theater or, you know, it really does affect you. So you talking about having a good support system, it really does make a difference. But I was going to ask you, what are some of the most memorable moments you've had in your acting career?
I've had so many, and they're not all from, from times where I couldn't believe that I was, choking through Bing Kingsley. There were, because I do that in one of the films, and I had this opportunity where I think, as far as I can't believe that this is happening to me, and of course I had expectations for that, and I thought my world was going to change, but it was a great opportunity, and I learned a lot from just being able to work with these great actors like Oscar Isaac. I had seen him in Inside Llewyn Davis probably, I don't know if it was a year or something before. I was just studying him when I was in the theater. What is this guy doing? This guy's a genius. He's making these choices that are so phenomenal. And then I find out that I'm going to be in a movie with him. That was really surreal, but I think cutting my teeth early on with so I was just going through divorce, and I was living in this bad area, this apartment, and I decided I was going to move to Glendale in LA and sleep on my buddy's couch in this really small studio. And I got a lot of pushback from some people. What are you doing? You have a 1-year-old kid, and it's a pipe dream, whatever. But I did about 12 either student films or short films, or really, like, I can't even call them independent features because they don't even go to YouTube. when I when I started getting like, I would only get $50 a day, or maybe $100 a day. But when I started getting paid for the craft, and I started working at it and going, and I started seeing the rungs of the ladder, and I thought, I just got to keep climbing these rungs. That right there was probably the most rewarding experience for me. I had always been cynical about, art, and because I'm a musician too, and I paint, and I always thought, I just want to do it for the expression. But when I got that first check, even though it wasn't a lot and it was just a personal check and it was a non-union film, I looked at it and something happened, like this epiphany where I thought, I could get paid to be an artist. And I think if I'm thinking about everything that ever happened to me, there was this one film I did where I got my first it was just like $450 for doing this short film. I think that was the thing that kind of opened my eyes to everything. And in retrospect, it probably was the most memorable because it informed the potential of everything that could come.
Hey, in the beginning, people aren't going to understand, but I know there's something to this. And again, you spoke about being a painter, which, I'm a painter myself, so I do a lot of, like abstract, like lyrical abstractions. So I understand, like, in any type of art form, and there are actors who might just be strictly into acting, but, you are expressing yourself in many ways. So as a painter, are there certain types of styles that you create?
Well, when I was really young, I used to sketch a lot, and think my desire was kind of to be an illustrator or something. But as I got older, I was doing figurative paintings, and then
Wow.
I started kind of trying to dismember that whole thing and become completely non-figurative, to where if you looked at the painting, you wouldn't even see anything. And my approach in those times, and mostly now, is to let the canvas, I mean, there's no other way I could say it, is that just the process of letting the canvas tell you what it wants to be once you put the colors on, usually when I'm making a painting, I have no idea what it's going to be, but I rework it, I ruin it, I destroy it, I rework it, and then suddenly something will start to emerge, and I'll listen to it, and I'll say, are you telling me this is what you want to be? Then I'm going to follow these lines, and I'm going to do this, and then sometimes I'll just have to abandon it and go, okay, well, that was a failed painting, and then other times I look at it and I go, okay, well, this was not my design, this was just what this thing wanted me to help, not to make it, but to help make it become what it is. And that's the only way really I know how to work now with paint and canvas and brushes. And
you're a painter, you're an actor, you're a father, so you're taking on all these many roles. And again, it is a form of expression, and sketching is beautiful. Being able to, portraits are beautiful, but again, abstract is something completely different. So like you said, being able to create with the canvas and then you expressing yourself is, again, another form of expression. And I would believe as an actor, it kind of takes you into that next level. So that's really awesome to hear that. Let's see here. What advice would you give to aspiring actors who might want to get started or take a chance?
Well, my old grandpa Luigi used to tell me advice is only what you pay for it. So I don't really like giving advice, but I would just say if you have the desire to pursue being an actor, there's a lot of people, I think, that believe, well, I'm just going to, in a year, it's going to happen and I'll start getting roles. And the whole process and trying to follow a path as a actor can really beat you down and open your eyes to what the reality of it is. And so from my experience, I would just say, unless you absolutely need to do it and you can't think about anything else, and you just, whether you're going to be homeless and just looking for an opportunity to be able to help tell the story of a person that will enable you to understand the world better, or however you approach it. If you can't do anything else and you can't imagine yourself doing anything else, well, that's the only reason you should pursue it. And you should give yourself, at the very least, 10 years of not booking anything, not getting any work, auditioning, and never getting anywhere. And then at the end of those 10 years, if you get something, go, because it's a lifetime. I saw this interview with Bryan Cranston recently where he was saying it was a lifetime, and it's true, it's a lifetime commitment. You can't expect to get it even in 5 years. You can't. It's just something that you have to dedicate from the time you desire to do it until, okay, when I die, I'm going to pursue this. And I feel like the common theme with a lot of artists, not just actors, is that their expression is a compulsion. And you cannot tame a compulsion, in my opinion. And so you have to have that. And if you do, and you work hard, and you do the work, you'll be successful. Just like if I wanted to become a plumber, I know nothing about it, but I go, okay, for the next 10 years, I'm going to be a licensed contractor and I'm going to be a plumber. I'd get work. I'd have my own business probably before the 10 years if I dedicated myself to it. It's the same type of thinking. If you dedicate yourself to something long enough, you will start to see results, but it's not going to happen in the time frame that you have in mind. So you have to be open to just pursuing it for the rest of your life.
Right on. Right on. So how about this? What do you think about balancing, let's say, a day job and becoming an actor?
Well, I know a lot of people who are my age or just a tiny bit younger or maybe older than me, and they still don't have a family and they don't have a career, and they work pickup jobs because you're going to get a call from your agent or your manager, and they're going to say, oh, they want to see you. Or nowadays it's a lot easier because you most of the time you put yourself on tape. You will have to do meetings sometimes too, but it was harder before. I want to like several years before it was harder because you had to show up for the auditions, and they're not going to work around your schedule. So a lot of you just take what I've heard a lot of people say, survival jobs, where you don't have to commit fully to a career, and a lot of people have 2-3 jobs where they just drive Uber or do Instacart, or a lot of people were waiters back in the day.
Yep, I'm a bartender for here. So
Bruce Willis was a bartender, so a lot of people like that. But I think that's where the question and the doubt from the family members and people start to go, because they start to say, okay, you're 35 and you're still doing these survival jobs. When are you going to think about maybe going to school or doing a career? And it takes a lot of belief in yourself. Although I think a lot of artists doubt themselves immensely, to go, okay, well, no, I'm pursuing this craft, and I'm not going to get a career. I'm not going to become a real estate agent. I'm not going to, go to school, go to trade school. And so balancing that is just what your priority is. I mean, if your priority is to be an actor and to be a working actor, making money is just secondary to that goal. So you basically design your life around being able to make money, but not being beholden to, having to have a career where you get a salary, a 401k, and you have to work, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and you can't miss a day unless it's sick leave or vacation.
that was actually really good inspiration. But, like your experience in just talking about that. And a lot of people do struggle with that. I mean, you were really on point with that.
And if I could say something too, not to disparage bartending or anything else, bartenders can make a damn good living, and there's some that make, they're happy in there. If your pursuit is to be an actor, then, some of these jobs that are maybe in some other people's minds just as good for them as being an actor, because at the end of the day, being an actor is not like, there's so many other professions that are much more admirable, but, if you need to express yourself in the way that an actor does, and that's the only pursuit that will make you happy, then yeah, that's the way you should go.
Right on. Can you tell us a little bit more of some of the films that you were in?
I had another film, Civil War came out this year, and then recently, this movie Afraid, it's a Blumhouse and Sony film, it came out. It's on VOD and also in theaters still. And, the film that really, the first studio film I did that got me into the union was on a Chris Weitz movie that he directed. He just found me on this indie film I did, and then I gave me the opportunity to audition a couple times, and that was what kind of got me in. There's been various things that I've done over the years, and there's something that I'm up for right now that I really love the character, and so, but I don't know how that'll work out, but I am going sometime October, November to film something that this guy, I was going to do a short film with him years ago, and then he reached out to me saying he was doing something now, and asked if I had any interest in it, and he sent me a short film that he ended up doing and getting somebody else for, and I was blown away by it. And so I'm going to be going somewhere in the Midwest, I think, to film that pretty soon. I'm going to start prepping for that. Yeah.
That's so exciting. Yeah, so in my language, we say inshallah, which means like God willing, hopefully, so that everything will go good. So fingers crossed, and hope that goes amazing for you. Where do you see yourself in the future with filmmaking and acting?
I don't know exactly where I see myself, but I know what I'd like to do. I'd like to have a life where my wife and I, we've been writing some stuff, and we
Oh, awesome.
we have pretty good, sessions where we just sit with each other and we'll come up with stories and then we'll start writing them. And I would like to have a life in, 5 to 10 years where we're making, we're doing the Cassavetes type thing or like the Downey Senior type thing, and like our kids are part of a circus, and then hopefully have a little bit of pull to where I could do, bigger roles in studio films, that I'm passionate about, and kind of not have to be reliant on roles that I'm a creator and with my partner. Just want to be an artist and express myself and the more I dig into trying to understand the world, the more colorful it becomes for me. So I just want to stay curious, and I just want to spend time with my family and be happy, and let us all be part of the same tribe where they don't have to worry about, especially for my kids. Like, I don't want them to have to struggle with, I don't want them to have to struggle, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I want to be able to provide for them a life where they're happy. I want to provide security for them.
No, that's really awesome. And like, it just sounds like you're a very strong-willed person. So much respect and props to, you put your family first. And like you said, you could possibly, create something with your wife or, go after what it is, and then being able to provide your family, and then, being the actor and trying out all these different roles. And you have done so many different films. So, and again, for anybody out there who's listening, go ahead and check out Greg Hill. If anybody wanted to get in contact with you, to either book you, would they book you through your agency, or how do you go about something like that?
You could reach out to me through Instagram. If, obviously you don't have my number. It's Greg John, Jon, not John, just Greg John Hill, Hill. So Greg John Hill at gmail dot, no, not Gmail, Instagram. Well, initially, reach out to me, what's up, and then everything has to go through my manager, though, but I'm willing to talk to anybody about any kind of idea they have or thing they want to do. And
so Greg, your Instagram handle is Greg John Hill. So at Greg John Hill. Okay, awesome. So anybody out there who's listening wants to check out some of Greg's work and, maybe reach out to him if you have any projects or films that you're interested in. You kind of almost have this like Benicio del Toro vibe to you. So you have like a very cool look. So somebody out there who's listening who, wants to mix things up, it sounds like you truly do love what you're doing. And it was just so nice speaking to you, Greg, and just wish you so much success for you and your family and all your endeavors. And I look forward to personally seeing you in more films and just hearing more, success and amazing stories from you as well. So it's really been a pleasure speaking with you this evening.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. And all I could do is the best that I can do, So I'm just happy to just be able to create and try to understand the world a little bit better. But I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. It's been really fun.
No, I really appreciate it too. Just you kind of give us the time. I know how busy. Again, just wish the best for you and your family. Much success in filmmaking and acting and anything and painting and whatever that, you put your heart and mind to.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, Greg, yalla.
Yalla.
It was so nice talking to you.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you. I appreciate it.